I'd been in a secret relationship with my brother's best friend for 7 years, yet one night, after he'd had too much to drink, he said to me in a joking tone, "Nyen Nyen, how about I find you a better man?" I replied with a calm voice, obediently saying, "Okay," all because in my past life, I didn't agree to his suggestion and insisted on marrying him. After we married, he ignored me completely, deliberately giving me the cold shoulder. He even chose to accompany his heartbroken white moonlight to her favorite concert, while I was 8 months pregnant, hospitalized from a car accident and hemorrhaging. It was then I realized he was someone else's salvation, but he was never the right one for me. Reborn and returned, he panicked. The KTV private room was dimly lit, with multicolored strobe lights sweeping chaotically across the space. The air was thick with the pungent mix of alcohol and cigarette smoke, and the deafening music threatened to blast the roof off. Sun Yen's consciousness felt as if it had sunk to the ocean depths before being violently yanked back to the surface. A hangover-like throbbing pain pulsed at her temples. She struggled to open her eyes. At first, everything before her blurred into a kaleidoscope of bizarre, shifting colors, only gradually coming into focus after several seconds. A voice, so familiar it sent a chill to the very marrow of her bones, sounded in her ear. "Nyen Nyen, why aren't you drinking this? Are you feeling unwell, Sue?" Nyen whirled around, meeting a pair of drunken, peach blossom eyes. Gu Yushin. He was holding a wine glass, looking at her with a faint, ambiguous smile. That handsome face she had been infatuated with for 10 years now felt like a death warrant. His thin lips parted, carrying his usual nonchalance and a condescension she had never understood in her past life. "Nyen Nyen, how about I find you someone better? I promise they'll treat you better than I ever did." Boom, the word struck like a thunderclap, instantly hurling Sun Yen back to that desperate, rain-swept night. She had been driving alone when a deliberate rear-end collision shattered the silence. Icy rain and warm blood soaked through her clothes in equal measure, while a tearing, searing pain radiated from her abdomen. With trembling hands, she dialed Gu Yushin's number, pouring every last ounce of her strength into a plea. "Yushin, help me, I've been in an accident." Silence hung on the line for a few seconds before his impatient voice cut through. "Sun Yen, I'm in the middle of something critical right now. I can't get away." His voice sounded distant, muffled by a backdrop of clamoring crowd noise. Before Sun Yen could utter another word, a girl's bright, exhilarated shriek suddenly pierced through the receiver. "Yushin, look, they're so close, I finally get to see them." Then came the relentless, heartless beat, a chill of despair, and a hatred so deep it felt bone deep, gnawed at her heart like a persistent parasite. To her disbelief, she had truly been given a second chance. She was back on her 22nd birthday, before any of the tragedies had begun. Her nails dug deep into her palms, and the sharp sting of pain pulled her free from the turbulent whirl of emotions. Sun Yen swallowed back the metallic taste in her throat and slowly lifted her gaze to meet the handsome yet cold man before her. She offered Gu Yushin a flawless, dazzling smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "All right then, Brother Yushin." The hand holding Gu Yushin's wine glass paused almost imperceptibly, the drunken haze on his face clearing a fraction. A flicker of surprise crossed his features before his lips curved into a knowing smile, and he settled back, waiting with an air of anticipation. According to the usual script, she should have been smashing the glass by now, glaring at him with red-rimmed eyes, and launching into tearful accusations. However, the anticipated storm never arrived. Sun Yen simply picked up an untouched glass of juice from the table and took a slow, deliberate sip, as if she had just agreed to something as trivial as where to go for dinner. The music in the private room was still blaring, but the atmosphere between the two of them had settled into an eerie silence. Gu Yushin's smile slowly froze on his face, after waiting for what felt like an eternity without hearing her continue. An inexplicable irritation welled up inside him. He set down his glass, leaned forward, and fixed his gaze on her. "Sun Yen, what do you mean by that?" Sun Yen finally looked up at him. Her eyes, which had always been filled with adoration, were now clear and icy, as if she were looking at a complete stranger. "Just what it sounds like," she said flatly. "Weren't you the one who said you'd find me someone better?" "I'm agreeing. What's the matter, Brother Yushin? Going back on your word now?" Gu Yushin was left speechless, the words catching in his throat. He frowned, his gaze sharp as he scrutinized her as if seeing a stranger. "What game are you playing now?" Sun Yen actually let out a soft laugh at his words, a sound tinged with a mockery and a sense of release he couldn't quite decipher. "Gu Yushin, not everyone is as fond of playing games as you are. I'm just tired. I don't want to play anymore." She set down her juice glass, enunciating each word with perfect clarity. "Your proposal is a good one. I accept." Just then, the private room door was flung open from the Outside with a bang, Su Ming's tall figure appeared in the doorway, dressed in a simple white t-shirt and jeans, his hair slightly damp. He had clearly just rushed over. He took in the tense atmosphere in the room at a glance, especially Gu Yushin's livid face and his sister Sun Yan's unnervingly calm expression. Su Ming raised an eyebrow mischievously, his tone laced with playful amusement. Well, what's all this about? Who's managed to upset our esteemed young master Gu, and even got our Nian looking so down in the dumps? He paused, his gaze shifting to Gu Yushin as if suddenly remembering something. Oh, right. I just saw your ex, Lin Weiwei, out in the hallway. She was crying her eyes out, looked like a few troublemakers were hassling her. Aren't you going to go play the hero and rescue the damsel in distress, Lin Weiwei? Before the words had even fully left his mouth, Gu Yushin shot to his feet as if by reflex. He cast a deep, inscrutable look at Sun Yan, but the urgency in his eyes was unmistakable. Without a word of explanation, he turned and strode out of the room in a rush. The others in the private room exchanged bewildered glances, completely thrown by this sudden turn of events. Sun Yan remained perfectly still on the sofa. She didn't even lift her eyes to watch Gu Yushin's hurried departure. Her gaze rested calmly on the glass he had just set down. Look, there he is. A single tear from Lin Weiwei was always more important than anything else about her. Sun Yan withdrew her gaze and leisurely picked up a plump orange from the fruit bowl. Her fingers were pale and slender, and she peeled the orange with an elegant, unhurried grace, as if performing a sacred ritual. In her past life, she would always meticulously peel an orange like this, feeding it segment by segment to Gu Yushin's lips. Watching him enjoy it filled her with pure delight. Back then, she mistook that for love. Looking back now, it was nothing but her own pitiful, one-sided devotion. She plucked a segment of the orange and, without a moment's hesitation, placed it in her own mouth. The sweet and tangy juice burst in her mouth, carrying a hint of pleasant bitterness, yet it was incredibly refreshing. This crisp sensation spread from the tip of her tongue to every limb, clearing the fog from her muddled mind. Gu Yushin, in this lifetime, I, Sun Yan, am done playing your games. Su Ming, who had been observing the scene, picked up a glass of juice and sat down beside Sun Yan. He nudged her with his elbow. What's wrong? Gu Yushin just rushed off in such a hurry. And you're not the least bit worried, aren't you? Two usually joined at the hip. Sun Yan swallowed the orange segment in her mouth and slowly popped the last one in before finally lifting her gaze to meet her brother's. Her expression held a calmness that belied her age. Brother, he's a grown man, what could possibly happen? Besides, he's off playing the hero to save the damsel. What would I go for? To be a third wheel? She shrugged, the gesture casual, as if discussing something that had nothing to do with her. Oh, Su Ming arched an eyebrow, a flicker of surprise and curiosity passing through his deep-set eyes. Something's off, really off. His little sister had always been Gu Yushin's shadow, following him everywhere since they were kids. Since when could she talk about him with such detachment? Su Ming set down his juice glass, leaning forward slightly to scrutinize Sun Yan. His sister seemed genuinely different somehow. He couldn't say if this change was for better or worse, but for some inexplicable reason, it tugged at his heartstrings. All right, forget about him. What do you feel like eating later? My treat, Su Ming said, deftly changing the subject, his tone noticeably softer. A genuine smile, her first since being reborn, touched Sun Yan's lips. Great, I want to go to that ridiculously expensive Japanese place in the south part of the city. Little gold digger, Su Ming chuckled, ruffling her hair with a fond look in his eyes. The green TB*TCH showing off. Forwarding this directly to your man. As Sun Yan and Su Ming stepped out of the noisy private room, the sultry lights of the KTV hallway washed over them. The deafening music softened slightly behind the closed door, but the thick air, heavy with the mingled scents of alcohol and perfume, remained. Just as Su Ming was about to tease Sun Yan about her sudden change in demeanor, a scene in the distance caught the corner of his eye. He stopped in his tracks and nudged Sun Yan with his elbow. A mischievous glint in his own. Following his gaze, Sun Yan saw Gu Yushin at the corridor's corner, carefully sheltering a figure in his arms. The person leaned limply against him. It was Lin Weiwei. Her hair was disheveled, her cheeks flushed an unnatural red, her eyes dazed and unfocused. She was clearly heavily intoxicated, yet, the moment Sun Yan looked over, Lin Weiwei seemed to sense it. She lifted her gaze slightly, and those drunken, peach blossom eyes landed precisely on Sun Yan, delivering a look that could almost be called a challenge, a faint, triumphant curve even playing at the corner of her lips. Su Ming clicked his tongue and drawled, his voice pitched just loud enough to carry, well, Well, Yushin, mission accomplished, got the damsel back. Lin Weiwei, nestled in Gu Yushin's arms, seemed disturbed by the sound and let out a discontented whimper, burrowing deeper into his embrace. Gu Yushin's brow furrowed slightly, clearly displeased with Su Ming's teasing. He looked up at Sun Yan, his gaze flickering as if searching for an explanation, his thin lips parting. Nian Nian, she's had too much to drink. Before he could finish, Sun Yan had already offered a smile that could be described as gentle and gracious. It was bright, yet it didn't reach her eyes at all. Her voice was calm as she continued, Brother Yushin, since Sister Weiwei is so drunk, you should hurry and take her home to rest. Don't let her suffer. My brother and I can get back on our own. We won't disturb you too. Her tone was so natural, as if she were merely stating the most ordinary fact, devoid of any of her usual jealousy or displeasure. The whole set of explanations Gu Yushin had prepared got stuck in his throat. Looking at Sun Yan's placid, unreadable face, that inexplicable irritation welled up inside him again. She was really not herself today. In his arms, Lin Weiwei seemed quite satisfied with Sun Yan's considerate response and deliberately spoke up in a soft, nasal voice, Yushin, my head is so dizzy. Gu Yushin withdrew his complicated gaze from Sun Yan. When he looked down at Lin Weiwei, his expression regained some of its usual gentleness, though it was tinged with a barely perceptible hint of perfunctoriness. All right, I'll take you back, he said, supporting Lin Weiwei. He hurried past Sun Yan and Su Ming towards the elevator. Just before stepping in, as if suddenly remembering something, he turned back and instructed Su Ming, it's getting late, make sure you take Nian Nian home soon. That flimsy concern sounded utterly sarcastic to Sun Yan's ears. She lowered her eyelids, veiling the flash of coldness in her eyes. In her past life, when a sudden gastric ulcer attack had her writhing in bed, drenched in cold sweat and curled into a ball, too weak to even speak, she had managed to call him, her voice trembling, choked with tears. She had begged him to take her to the hospital. On the other end, he had only offered a cold, I'm not a doctor, call 120 yourself. Before hanging up without hesitation, back then, he had probably been with Lin Weiwei, attending some important banquet. At this moment, it felt as if an invisible hand had seized her heart again, sending waves of that all too familiar, wrenching pain. Sun Yan instinctively pressed a hand to her stomach, her fingers applying slight pressure until the sharp agony was gradually overshadowed by a dull, persistent ache. She buried it all, the churning resentment, the bone-deep anguish, along with those laughable memories, deep down, sealing them away for good. Nian Nian, are you okay? Su Ming asked with concern, noticing his sister's suddenly pale complexion. Sun Yan looked up, her face now a mask of calm. She shook her head at Su Ming, her tone light. I'm fine, brother, let's go. We agreed on the most expensive Japanese restaurant in the south of the city. Don't you dare try to back out. Seeing that she genuinely didn't seem bothered, Su Ming breathed an inward sigh of relief, while his resentment towards Gu Yushin grew a little stronger. He ruffled Sun Yan's hair. Come on, you can have anything you want today, my treat. The next day, Sun Yan was woken by a rapid series of notification chimes from her phone. Squinting, she fumbled for it. The screen showed a WeChat message from Lin Weiwei. The first item was a photo. In a softly lit living room, Gu Yushin, wearing a bathrobe, was lying on his side on a sofa, seemingly fast asleep. Below the photo was a line of text. Picture Nian Nian. Sorry about this, Yushin was looking after me all last night and was so exhausted he fell asleep on my sofa. You're not mad, are you? Cute, Sun Yan replied with a deadpan expression, sending nothing but a question mark. The other side probably hadn't expected that reaction and fell silent for a few seconds. Soon, a second message popped up. This time, it was a photo of an exquisitely plated breakfast, toast, bacon, and a lopsided, heart-shaped fried egg made with a mold. The accompanying caption was even more smug. Picture a loving breakfast made for me by Yushin himself. Shy, he said it's his first time cooking for a girl. Nian Nian, did you ever get this kind of treatment before? Looking at that slightly burned-edged hard egg, Sun Yan almost laughed out loud. She didn't reply. Instead, she took a full screenshot of the second photo along with Lin Weiwei's text, opened her WeChat chat with Gu Yushin, and forwarded it over, completely unchanged. Gu Yushin's call came through in under 2 minutes. Sun Yan picked up the phone slowly, not even uttering a sound. From the other end came Gu Yushin's voice, flustered yet deliberately hushed, carrying a tone of perfunctory reassurance. Nian Nian, don't overthink it, those messages were just Lin Weiwei fooling around. She got drunk last night, and I was just helping her out. It's not what you think. All that came through the receiver was Sun Yan's steady breathing. The silence rapidly wore down Gu Yushin's patience. Irritation welled up, and his voice dropped low. Why aren't you saying anything, Nian Nian? Be good, stop this. Alright, Sun Yan finally spoke, her voice cool and detached, devoid of any emotion. Are you finished? Those 3 words left Gu Yushin speechless. A surge of anger flared, and he had to clench his jaw to force it down before speaking stiffly. The Chinese yam and pork rib soup last time was good, make another batch and send it to the office today, no scallions. A frigid smile touched the corner of Sun Yan's lips as she softly uttered 2 words, fucking idiot. The call was then promptly and decisively ended. On the other end of the line, Gu Yushin gripped his phone, his face instantly darkening like the bottom of a burnt pot, but soon, her phone vibrated again. It was a WeChat voice message from Gu Yushin. Sun Yan tapped to play it, and his voice, feigning tenderness but laced with perfunctory impatience, came through. Nian Nian, be good. I'll take you to that private kitchen you love tonight, as an apology, Su. Nian looked at the voice message, a hint of mockery curling at the corner of her lips. The same old routine. What else did he know how to do besides placating her with money and expensive meals? She replied with a single word, fine. Then, she put down her phone and, in high spirits, opened a food delivery app to search for Chinese yam and pork rib soup. Among the many vendors, she deliberately chose the one with the lowest rating and a comment section full of complaints, ordering a large portion. In the special instructions, she made sure to add a line, please add extra scallions and cilantro, the more, the better, and make it as pungent as possible. Thanks, boss. After finishing that, she turned and walked into her own kitchen. Opening the fridge, she took out fresh pork ribs and Chinese yam, along with the corn and carrots her brother, Su Ming, loved most. She was going to carefully simmer a pot of truly hearty, delicious, and soul-warming soup for herself and for her brother. That evening, inside Cloud Garden, an incredibly hard-to-book private kitchen in the city, Sun Yan and Su Ming were seated by the window, savoring the delicate dishes. Having just had Japanese food the night before, it was only natural to switch things up today. Nian Nian, you seem to be in a particularly good mood today, Su Ming asked, his words slightly muffled as he picked up a piece of crystal pork trotter with his chopsticks. Sun Yan took a sip of tea, her eyes crinkling into crescents. Of course. With such delicious food in front of me, how could I not be happy? No sooner had the words left her mouth than the bamboo curtain of the private room was swept aside from the outside. Gu Yushin and a flamboyantly dressed Lin Weiwei appeared in the doorway. Seeing Sun Yan and Su Ming, Gu Yushin was clearly taken aback for a moment, but then, remembering the invitation he had sent, he naturally assumed Sun Yan was obediently waiting for him. Lin Weiwei was the first to recover. An overly sweet smile instantly spread across her face as she deliberately snaked her arm through Gu Yushin's, her voice dripping with saccharine affection. Oh my, it's little sister Nian Nian and big brother Su Ming, what a coincidence. Sun Yan looked genuinely surprised by the coincidence, a delighted smile spreading across her face as she stood up. Oh, brother Yushin, sister Weiwei, what a pleasant surprise. Have you eaten yet? Please, join us if you don't mind. Su Ming lifted his eyelids and chimed in with a lazy drawl, yeah, since you're already here, have a seat. Getting a table at Yunyuan is no easy feat, consider yourselves lucky today. Their perfectly coordinated, effusive welcome left Gu Yushin and Lin Weiwei with little choice but to accept. They reluctantly took the seats opposite the pair. No sooner had Lin Weiwei sat down than she couldn't contain herself. Her eyes glinted with a hint of smugness as she addressed Sun Yan. By the way, Nian Nian, that soup you brought for Yushin today was absolutely delicious. He loved it so much, he finished every last drop. He even said your cooking keeps getting better and better. Su Ming paused at the words, setting down his chopsticks. He turned to Sun Yan with a hint of displeasure. Nian Nian, did you share the soup I had at the office this afternoon with him? I thought that was my special treat. Sun Yan immediately put on a wounded expression. Shaking her head quickly, her voice carried a perfectly measured note of panic. Brother, of course not. How could I give your soup to someone else? As she spoke, she turned to Gu Yushin and Lin Weiwei, seeming a little embarrassed as she explained in a hushed tone. Brother Yushin did call me this morning asking me to make soup, but I was worried my cooking wasn't good enough. What if it didn't suit his taste and he got upset? So, I just ordered him a takeout version instead, thinking it would be more reliable than anything I could make. She paused, her voice dropping even lower, as if making a promise to her brother. The pot of soup I made by hand is all for you, brother. There's still more than half left at home, we can have it when we get back. The words wiped the smile right off Lin Weiwei's face. The soup Gu Yushin had ordered was takeout. So what was that soup made with love she drank this afternoon? Her earlier bragging had just turned into a colossal joke. Gu Yushin was also stunned. He hadn't expected Sun Yan to bring this up in front of everyone, and in such a pitiful, wounded tone. Su Ming was no fool. He grasped the whole sordid little scheme in an instant. He didn't slam the table. Instead, he gently placed his chopsticks on the rest with a soft click. Leaning back in his chair, he crossed his arms and fixed Gu Yushin with a leisurely, mocking stare. Well, Gu Yushin, so you had my sister make soup for you, just so you could turn around and gift it to your ex-girlfriend, trying to play the reformed playboy, are we? He paused, his gaze sweeping over the mortified Lin Weiwei. Before returning to Gu Yushin's ashen face, he continued, deliberate and slow, so the daughter of the Su family is just your personal errand girl now, ordering takeout for you and then trembling with fear that you might be disappointed, passing off my sister's takeout order as your own grand gesture. I could hear your little scheme clicking from the west side of town. Tell me, did you plan this dinner too? Did you bring her here specifically because you knew my sister would be here, just to rub her face in it? Gu Yushin's face flushed crimson under the barrage of Su Ming's cutting words, not a single profanity, yet each one struck a nerve. Under the subtle, watchful gazes around him, his cheeks burned. He wanted to retort, but he realized every word Su Ming said was the undeniable truth. Left speechless, he could only sit there, trapped and utterly mortified. We were together. Sorry, who are you again? The atmosphere in the private room at Yunyuan plummeted to freezing point the moment Su Ming finished his merciless remarks. The color drained completely from Lin Weiwei's face. She hung her head in acute embarrassment, her fingers twisting the hem of her clothes helplessly. Gu Yushin's expression was even more dreadful, shifting between ashen and livid. He tried several times to argue back, only to find Su Ming's every accusation was spot on, leaving him with no ground to stand on. A nameless fury churned in his chest, leaving him utterly stifled. Su Ming gave a soft, dismissive hum. Picking up his chopsticks, he leisurely placed a piece of Sun Yan's favorite crispy duck onto her plate, as if the heated exchange moments before had nothing to do with him. Breaking the suffocating silence, he said to Sun Yan in a light, casual tone, Nian, don't let this unpleasantness ruin your appetite. Speaking of which, you're 26 now, not a child anymore. You've been too busy worrying about certain people's moods, neglecting what's important. I happen to know quite a few promising young men from good families with solid character. How about I introduce you to a few some other day? You can take your pick. Hearing this, Sun Yan's eyes lit up. She set down her cup of Biluakan tea and nodded eagerly, her enthusiasm palpable. Yes, that's perfect. I was just thinking the same thing. I trust your judgment completely, brother. I'll leave it in your hands. Her voice was clear and bright, brimming with unmistakable anticipation. A soft clink sounded as Gu Yushin's ivory chopstick slipped from his fingers and fell onto the bone china plate. His face darkened, a storm cloud ready to burst. His gaze shot towards Sun Yan, sharp and cold. Sun Yan, what do you mean you're going to date? His tone carried an urgency and a trace of panic he himself didn't seem to notice. Sun Yan blinked, looking back at him with feigned innocence, a faint smile playing at the corner of her lips. Why can't we talk about it, brother Yushin? Have you forgotten? Just the other day at the KTV, didn't you say yourself that you'd find me someone better? She threw his own words right back at him, her tone sincere, yet her eyes were clear and lucid. Gu Yushin felt a tightness in his chest from her words, almost choking on a breath. He stared at Sun Yan. Those eyes, which once held nothing but adoration for him, were now calm and placid, as if looking at a complete stranger. This only made the turmoil in his heart churn more fiercely. Seeing the situation, Lin Weiwei quickly forced a smile, trying to smooth things over, her voice still sickly sweet. Oh, Nian, I think Yushin is perfectly fine. You two grew up together, you know each other inside and out, and he's always been so good to you. Lin Weiwei. Gu Yushin almost immediately cut her off with a frown, his tone carrying a clear, cutting edge. Don't talk nonsense. Nian is my sister. His words were less a clarification and more an insistence on a boundary, but the urgency in his voice betrayed a hint of protesting too much. Sun Yan nodded with exaggerated seriousness, her tone dripping with sincerity as she chimed in, absolutely, I've always respected brother Yushin like my own flesh and blood. Sister Weiwei, you mustn't misunderstand. She paused, then shifted gears, her gaze sweeping between Lin Weiwei and Gu Yushin before continuing with a beaming smile. Besides, compared to me, I think you and brother Yushin, Sister Weiwei, are the perfect match, a true pairing of talent and beauty. Lin Weiwei was left speechless by this official stamp of approval. Her face was a picture of conflicting emotions, awkwardness, resentment, and a touch of embarrassment at having her thoughts so plainly seen through. Gu Yushin was so infuriated by Sun Yan's series of maneuvers that he could barely keep his composure. He took a deep breath, struggling to suppress the fire in his heart, and forced a stiff, cold smile. "Oh, really, Sun Yan, since you're so eager to start dating, let me set you up. I happen to know a finance whiz who just returned from Harvard, young, accomplished, with an impeccable family background. I'll arrange a meeting for you two tomorrow. How about that?" He was certain Sun Yan would react as she always had before. Talking about finding someone else was just her throwing a tantrum. If he pushed back just a little, she'd back down. To Gu Yushin's surprise, Sun Yan didn't hesitate in the slightest. Instead, her eyes lit up, and she even gave a soft clap of her hands, her voice brimming with delight. "Great, he sounds amazing. Thank you so much for going to the trouble, Brother Yushin. I'll definitely make the most of this opportunity." She paused, as if remembering something important, and added, "Oh, by the way, Brother Yushin, could you also get his birth chart for me? My mom's been really into superstition lately. She insists we have to check our astrological compatibility before I date anyone, see if our elements clash or if he'll bring me good fortune. You know how it is. I'm her only precious daughter. She's very particular about these things." Suming couldn't hold back. The mouthful of tea he just sipped nearly sprayed out. He hastily covered his mouth with a handkerchief, but his shoulders shook uncontrollably. Gu Yushin was utterly stunned. He had imagined all sorts of reactions from Sun Yan, but he never expected her to agree so readily, even going so far as to ask for his birth date and time with a straight face, looking at Sun Yan's beaming smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. He suddenly felt like a complete fool. The meal ultimately ended on a sour note, shrouded in a bizarre and awkward atmosphere. A few days later, while Sun Yan and Su Ming were discussing a project proposal in the company break room, Lin Weiwei showed up uninvited. Her eyes were rimmed with red, her face etched with obvious exhaustion. The moment she saw Sun Yan and Su Ming, tears began to fall like a broken string of pearls. Her voice choked with emotion. She looked utterly pitiful. "Nian Nian, Brother Su Ming, I truly know I was wrong. Between me and Yushin, there are just too many misunderstandings. I really want to start over with him. Could you please help me plan a surprise to win him back?" Su Ming leaned back on the sofa, arms crossed, raising an eyebrow at her without committing to an answer. Sun Yan set down her tablet, her face instantly adopting a carefully crafted expression that blended enthusiasm with sympathy. She quickly walked over to Lin Weiwei's side, gently patting her back with a concerned tone. "Sister Weiwei, please don't cry. Whatever it is, we can talk it through slowly. For the sake of love, it's only right to fight for it." Lin Weiwei sniffled, a flicker of hope flashing in her eyes. "Nian Nian, you'd really be willing to help me?" Sun Yan nodded vigorously, her expression earnest. "Of course, Sister Weiwei, don't you worry. Leave it to me. I'm always happy to play matchmaker and help a good thing along." Su Ming watched his sister's eager-to-help act, the corner of his mouth twitching. He took a sip from his coffee cup to hide the amusement in his eyes. His little sister was becoming more and more interesting. Lin Weiwei, however, seemed to have grabbed onto a lifeline. She seized Sun Yan's hands in delight. "Really, Nian Nian, thank you so much." Sun Yan's smile grew even brighter. "Absolutely. Sister Weiwei, you just wait for my good news. A 7-year secret affair. Prove it. I dare you to show me the evidence." Over the weekend, Gu Yushin hosted a party on his private beach, under the sun, with music and chilled champagne. The crowd of wealthy young socialites had a blast. Amidst the revelry, Sun Yan and Su Ming were helpfully offering advice to Lin Weiwei, whose eyes were red-rimmed. Following Sun Yan's brilliant plan, they encouraged Lin Weiwei to invite Gu Yushin for a tandem kayak ride, away from the crowd, to create a chance for them to be alone. Meanwhile, the others stayed on the beach to help set up the surprise reconciliation scene that Lin Weiwei had meticulously prepared. On the azure sea, two kayaks glided one after the other. Sun Yan and Su Ming paddled leisurely, enjoying the sea breeze. In the kayak behind, Lin Weiwei sat in front of Gu Yushin, leaning against him with feigned fragility, yet her peripheral vision never strayed far from Sun Yan. She noticed how Gu Yushin's gaze, in between strokes of the paddle, kept drifting unconsciously towards Sun Yan. That fleeting attention stung her eyes. Lin Weiwei bit her lip. "Just you wait, Sun Yan, we'll see who he truly cares about more." The kayak rocked from a wave, and Lin Weiwei seized the moment. Feigning instability, she swayed dramatically with a sharp cry. Just as she seemed about to fall, at the last second, she reached out and gave Sun Yan's passing kayak a hard, seemingly accidental shove. Caught off guard by the forceful push, Sun Yan lost her balance. With a gasp, she toppled into the icy sea water. With a loud splash, she was completely submerged. Lin Weiwei herself then tumbled into the water with a scream, even more piercing than Sun Yan's had been. Ah, help, Yushin, save me. The incident happened too fast. Su Ming only felt the space beside him empty. He turned and saw Sun Yan falling into the water. His eyes widened in fury, and he roared, Nian Nian. The icy seawater enveloped Sun Yan in an instant, choking on several mouthfuls. Her survival instinct kicked in, making her thrash about wildly. She forced her eyes open and, through the briny water, saw a blurred figure, Gu Yushin, who had jumped in without a moment's hesitation almost the second she fell. Yet, his figure swam directly and unwaveringly in the opposite direction, towards Lin Weiwei, whose heart-wrenching sobs made her a truly pitiful sight. In that moment, all of Sun Yan's struggling ceased. The frigid water held her entire body feeling as if it were frozen solid. She watched as Gu Yushin anxiously gathered Lin Weiwei into his arms, straining to lift her above the surface, his movements tender and reverent. Suddenly, a memory from her past life surfaced. A quiet afternoon, she was carrying a plate of cut fruit, walking towards the study door. Through the crack in the door, his hushed voice, laced with impatience and a hint of mockery, complained to Lin Weiwei on the phone. She's such a nag. What I wear, who I see, she has to control everything. Coming home to her endless, petty complaints is exhausting enough. He paused, letting out a soft, derisive chuckle. It's nothing like being with you, Weiwei. That's what I call relaxing. That chuckle pierced her eardrum like a needle dipped in poison. So it was true, in her past life and in this one, in matters of life and death or in these trivial mishaps, he would always, always choose someone else. Her heart turned to ice in an instant, colder than the deepest ocean. Nian Nian, an urgent cry came from behind, followed by a pair of strong arms pulling her from the water. Su Ming held his sister Sun Yan tightly, swimming swiftly toward the shore. His face was ashen as he looked at her, pale, drenched, and hollow-eyed, his heart aching with unbearable pain. Once Sun Yan was safely ashore, their friends gathered around, lending a hand. Su Ming took a clean blanket and wrapped her up snugly. Not far away, Gu Yushin was also helping the utterly feeble Lin Weiwei. Ashore, on the beach, a group of friends had already set up the confession scene. Lin Weiwei had asked them to prepare pink balloons, a huge bouquet of red roses, and a banner that read, Yushin, give me another chance. Supported by Gu Yushin, Lin Weiwei stumbled to the pile of flowers and balloons. She took a deep breath, looked up at him, her eyes brimming with deep affection and grievance. Her voice trembled with tears, yet was loud enough for the surrounding friends to hear clearly. Yushin, thank you. Just now, I was so scared. I thought I was going to die. It was you saved me. Yushin, I know I was wrong about a lot of things before, I hurt you, but I truly love you. Can we start over? I can't live without you. Wrapped in a blanket and sitting on a beach chair, Sun Yan watched the farce, a barely perceptible smirk curling at the corner of her mouth. She suddenly cleared her throat and started clapping, leading the charge. Her voice wasn't loud, but it cut clearly through Lin Weiwei's sobbing plea. Wow. How touching. With her instigation, the friends who were already familiar with each other joined in on the fun. Get together. Sun Yan raised a hand, waving it, her face lit up with a dazzlingly bright smile. Say yes to her. Su Ming watched his little sister's troublemaking antics, the corner of his mouth twitching involuntarily, yet his eyes were filled with nothing but indulgence. Gu Yushin had initially been softened up by saving Lin Weiwei and her heartfelt confession, but when Sun Yan's voice reached him, he looked up in disbelief. His gaze shot over Lin Weiwei's shoulder, locking precisely onto Sun Yan, his heart filled with rage, and Lin Weiwei vanished from his sight. He shoved Lin Weiwei away abruptly. She stumbled, nearly falling, and stared at him in utter shock. Gu Yushin didn't even glance at her. He charged the few steps over to Sun Yan, his eyes bloodshot, veins bulging on his forehead, and roared at her in fury. Sun Yan, have you lost your goddamn mind? What the hell are you spouting here? Have you forgotten I'm your boyfriend? Have you forgotten we've been together for 7 years? His voice boomed across the beach, laced with barely contained fury and a sliver of panic he himself hadn't even registered, instantly silencing the entire shore. The eyes of all their friends snapped in unison from Lin Weiwei to Sun Yan and Gu Yushin. Lin Weiwei was utterly stunned, her face a kaleidoscope of shifting emotions. Boyfriend, 7 years. How was that even possible? Su Ming's expression darkened. He stepped forward, placing himself protectively in front of Sun Yan. Sun Yan peeked out from behind Su Ming, her face still wearing that innocent, naive smile. She tilted her head, looking at the furious Gu Yushin, and said in a light, breezy tone, Gu Yushin, are you okay? Did you swallow too much seawater and get water in your brain? She blinked her clear eyes and continued in a voice sickly sweet yet utterly cruel, when exactly did I become your girlfriend? For 7 years, she let out a soft laugh, as if she'd heard the most ridiculous joke. Oh, Yushin, you're such a joker, we're like siblings, get a grip. She paused, her smile widening, but her eyes grew icy cold, devoid of any warmth. Besides, you claim we were a couple for 7 years, proof, show it to everyone. Then, do we have a single public photo together? Did you ever post a single word about me on your social media? Between us, forget couples. Rings, did you ever even give me a cheap matching phone charm? With every question Sun Yan asked, Gu Yushin's face grew paler, his mouth fell open, but he found himself unable to utter a single word. Evidence. What evidence could he possibly have? Panic set in, a deep, all-consuming panic, as he looked at Sun Yan's faintly smiling face and those clear yet utterly unfamiliar eyes. A wave of immense terror seized him. No, that's not it, Nian Nian, you know perfectly well that he stammered incoherently, reaching out to grab Sun Yan's hand. Su Ming slapped his hand away with a sharp crack, his gaze as cold and sharp as a blade. Gu Yushin, what do you think you're doing? She really is my girlfriend, we've been together for 7 years. Gu Yushin roared at the surrounding friends like a cornered beast, trying to prove his point, but it only made his words sound more hollow and desperate. Su Ming let out a cold laugh, stepping forward to shield Sun Yan completely behind him. His voice was low, but every word was crystal clear. Gu Yushin, do you take me for a fool? I saw it perfectly clearly out on the water. It was Lin Weiwei who pushed my sister in. Nian came all this way, giving you advice, suggesting activities like kayaking, all under the pretense of helping you and Miss Lin get closer. It seems her kindness was utterly wasted on you two. What a pair you make. One deliberately pushes someone into the water, staging a damsel in distress act to win sympathy. The other, when rescuing people, saves his true love first, and now has the gall to turn around and claim my sister is his girlfriend. What, do you think you can have your cake and eat it too? Is the heiress of the Su family really that easy to bully in your eyes? Su Ming's voice wasn't loud, but each word landed like a sledgehammer, crushing down on the hearts of Gu Yushin and Lin Weiwei. The murmurs among the surrounding friends grew louder. The looks they cast towards Gu Yushin and Lin Weiwei shifted from initial shock to scorn and suspicion. Sun Yan chose that moment to peek out from behind Su Ming, tugging at his sleeve. Her voice, laced with timidity and grievance, was a small whisper. Brother Yushin, what's wrong with him today? He was never like this before, he's so frightening now. Her whole act of a startled little rabbit, contrasted with Gu Yushin's current ferocity and Lin Weiwei's pallor, made her seem all the more like the innocent victim. Don't be afraid, I'm here, Su Ming soothed gently. Then, his eyes hardened as he glared at Gu Yushin. Did you hear that? My sister says you're frightening, you'd better get lost right now. Ignoring Gu Yushin, frozen in place, and Lin Weiwei, teetering on the brink, he wrapped an arm around Sun Yan's shoulders and gently steered the conversation away. Alright, Nian Nian, let's not pay any more mind to these lunatics, you're soaked through. Let's hurry back and get you into some dry clothes before you catch a cold. Sun Yan nodded obediently, allowing Su Ming to lead her away from the scene of the drama. Gu Yushin stood rooted to the spot, watching Sun Yan's retreating back without a hint of hesitation. A bone-deep chill seeped through him, the pride he took in his secrecy, the control he'd arrogantly assumed. In this moment, they transformed into the sharpest of blades, flaying him alive. As for Lin Weiwei, she became the laughingstock of the entire gathering, standing amidst the pile of waterlogged roses and deflating balloons, her face deathly pale and her body swaying unsteadily. She endured the gazes cast from all directions, pitying, contemptuous, or simply amused, wishing fervently that the ground would open up and swallow her whole. 5. Leave the past behind, embrace a sunny future. The farce on the beach had finally ended. By the time Sun Yan and Su Ming returned to the Su family villa, the night was deep. Sun Yan first took a hot shower, changed into clean, comfortable loungewear, and roughly towel-dried her damp hair. Instead of resting immediately, she walked straight to the study. From the most hidden corner of a bookshelf, she pulled out a locked wooden box. The box was old, carved with simple vine patterns. She had begged a carpenter to make it for her during her teenage years, based on a picture from a magazine. The combination for the lock was once seared into her memory, Gu Yushin's birthday. Now, she calmly turned the dials. With a soft click, the lock opened. Inside lay a few items, resting quietly. A combination diary with a yellowed cover, still carrying the faint scent of her once favorite perfume, a fountain pen with a chipped cap, which Gu Yushin had used in high school and later casually given to her, the stubs of a few concert tickets she had stayed up all night to snag, only for him to say he was busy, leaving her to go alone, and a small, somewhat childishly shaped Teru Teru Bozu charm. 1 year, on her birthday, he had fished it out of a prize draw box and tossed it to her. This was the sum total of her 7 years of secret devotion, a pitifully meager and pathetically humble collection. Sun Yan carried each item out, along with the thick diary, to the metal incinerator in the courtyard. Su Ming had followed her out at some point, leaning against the doorframe, watching her in silence. She struck a match, the flame danced, illuminating her placid, unreadable face. She tossed the diary in first. The dry pages caught quickly, the fire hungrily devouring the words that had once held all her joys and sorrows. Next went the pen, the ticket stubs, and the little Teru Teru Bozu doll. The plastic emitted a pungent odor as it warped and melted in the intense heat. The firelight flickered in her eyes. Gu Yushin, she whispered to the flickering flames, her voice barely audible yet filled with a resolute finality. From now on, we're even, we owe each other nothing. Su Ming walked over and gently placed a hand on her shoulder from behind. One weekend a few days later, Su Nian's mother dragged her out of bed first thing in the morning, insisting she had arranged a guaranteed-to-be perfect blind date. Su Nian wanted to refuse, but seeing the hopeful, almost pleading look in her mother's eyes, she reluctantly agreed. The meeting was set at a tastefully decorated tea house. When Su Nian arrived, her date was already there, sitting with his back to her by the window, his posture tall and straight. She walked over and gently tapped the tabletop. "Hello, I'm Su Nian." The man turned at the sound. Sun Yan saw his face clearly and was momentarily taken aback. He was also startled for a second, then broke into a gentle smile. "Sun Yan, is it really you? I'm Qing Jingyan." Qing Jingyan. A vague figure surfaced in Sun Yan's mind, her senior from the same department in college, 2 years ahead of her. He was the student council president, academically outstanding, gentle and polite, the object of many girls' secret crushes, but back then, her heart and eyes were completely filled with Gu Yushin. She never paid much attention to anyone else. "Senior, what a coincidence," Sun Yan said, sitting down opposite him, a little surprised. "It really is," Qing Jingyan replied, pouring her a cup of tea with a natural ease. "My aunt only mentioned your name, I didn't expect it to be you." As they chatted about amusing stories from their university days, the atmosphere gradually relaxed. Qing Jingyan was witty and well-informed, a stark contrast to Gu Yushin's often condescending air of nonchalance. After several rounds of tea, Qing Jingyan set down his cup and looked at Sun Yan, his gaze sincere. "Sun Yan, actually, I had feelings for you back in university, it's just that you seemed," he paused, offering a somewhat self-deprecating smile, "your attention was elsewhere." Sun Yan hadn't expected him to be so forthright and was momentarily at a loss for how to respond. Qing Jingyan continued, "After graduation, I thought about reaching out, but I heard you and Gu Yushin. Well, anyway, I missed my chance. This time, when your aunt spoke to my mother about you, I was really glad to have this opportunity. We can start as friends and get to know each other slowly." His gaze was open and direct, free from any sense of obligation or ulterior motive, containing only sincerity. Sun Yan looked at him, feeling a soft stir somewhere in her heart. She picked up her teacup and took a sip of the warm tea. "All right, senior, I think it's nice to have another friend too." The days suddenly seemed to brighten. Sun Yan began to look forward to her weekend meetings with Qing Jingyan. Sometimes it was a newly released movie, other times a visit to an art gallery, or simply a walk in the park. Qing Jingyan never overstepped, yet he always managed to be considerate of her needs in the smallest of ways. However, the peaceful days didn't last long before they were shattered. Gu Yushin started appearing outside Sun Yan's office building. He no longer carried himself with the same aloof superiority as before. Instead, he seemed somewhat disheveled and agitated. He would stand there without fail every day, and the moment Sun Yan emerged, he would try to approach and pester her. At first, Sun Yan could walk past him with a blank face, but after it happened too many times, she was starting to get fed up. That afternoon, as soon as Sun Yan stepped out of the company building, Gu Yushin appeared like a ghost again, reaching out to grab her arm. "Nian Nian, let's talk, please, just hear me out." "Let go." Sun Yan frowned and shook him off. "I won't." Nian Nian, you can't do this to me. Were those 7 years all a lie? Gu Yushin's eyes were red, his emotions running high at that moment. A black Range Rover screeched to a halt at the curb, the door swung open, and Su Ming's tall figure emerged, carrying a chill with him. Seeing Gu Yushin pulling at Sun Yan, his face instantly darkened like a thundercloud. Gu, Su Ming strode forward, yanking Gu Yushin away from Sun Yan's side. Gu Yushin stumbled from the force. Before he could utter a word, Su Ming didn't hesitate. A whistling right hook landed squarely on Gu Yushin's left cheek. Thwack! Gu Yushin cried out in pain, stumbling back several steps from the blow. A trickle of blood immediately appeared at the corner of his mouth. He clutched his face, staring at Su Ming in disbelief. Passing office workers nearby turned to look, their faces registering shock. I'm warning you, Gu Yushin. Su Ming pointed a finger at him, his voice as cold as ice. If you dare harass my sister again, I'll beat you every single time I see you. She doesn't owe you a damn thing. I must have been blind before, letting you treat her like that. Now, get the hell away from here. Stunned and furious, Gu Yushin wiped the blood from his lip and roared, Su Ming, what gives you the right to hit me? Sun Yan is my girlfriend. Su Ming sneered. Girlfriend? Ask Nian Nian if she even acknowledges that. A man like you, who only operates in the shadows. Too cowardly to give her a proper title, and always pushes her aside when trouble comes. Do you even deserve her? Sun Yan stood to the side, watching Su Ming defend her. Her eyes grew slightly warm. Gu Yushin was left speechless by Su Ming's words. In the end, he could only drive away in disgrace under the scornful gazes of the onlookers. Only then did Su Ming turn to Sun Yan. The anger on his face vanished instantly, replaced by concern. Nian Nian, are you okay? Did he do anything to you? Su Nian shook her head and gently hugged Su Ming's arm. Thank you, brother, I'm fine. It's so nice to have a brother like this. Just as the major headache of Gu Yushin was dealt with, another minor nuisance began to surface. Lin Weiwei somehow got hold of Sun Yan's new phone number and started sending her bizarre WeChat messages. The gist was that the whole beach confession incident was a misunderstanding, that her feelings were genuine, and she hoped Sun Yan wouldn't misunderstand her relationship with Gu Yushin. She even hinted that Sun Yan shouldn't be coming between a loving couple. Reading those affected, pretentious words, Sun Yan could only find it laughable. She didn't even have the slightest desire to reply. She promptly blocked Lin Weiwei's phone number, WeChat ID, and every other possible means of contact. A pathetic clown, not even worth a glance. After deleting the last contact, Sun Yan hummed a cheerful tune, feeling thoroughly satisfied. After the turmoil subsided, good news circulated within the company. The group's Paris headquarters had a 1-year training opportunity available, open to all outstanding young talents from branch offices. The competition was fierce. Sun Yan didn't hesitate for a moment and submitted her application immediately. Thanks to her exceptional professional skills and fluent French, she successfully secured this valuable opportunity after several rounds of screening and interviews. On the day she received the acceptance letter, Sun Yan asked Qing Jingyan out for a meal. Senior Jingyan, I'm going to Paris for a year. Sun Yan waved her admission letter, her face alight with irrepressible excitement. A flicker of surprise crossed Qing Jingyan's eyes, quickly replaced by genuine happiness for her. Paris, that's wonderful. Congratulations, Sun Yan. This is a truly rare opportunity. You've always been outstanding. Thank you, Sun Yan said with a smile. To be honest, I'm really looking forward to it. A change of scenery, a chance to better myself, as you should, Qing Jingyan said, raising his glass. I'm all for it. This year, I'll work hard and strive to become a better man myself. When you return, I hope I can. He paused, his gaze gentle yet resolute. I hope I'll be worthy of standing by your side, not just as a friend. Sun Yan's heart gave a little flutter, meeting Qing Jingyan's sincere gaze. She didn't look away for the first time. Instead, a smile bloomed on her face. All right then. I'll be waiting to see. Sunlight streamed through the window, bathing the two of them in its warm glow. Everything was filled with new hope. Her world, at last, was bathed in endless sunshine. 6. A Parisian encounter with true love. Charles de Gaulle Airport in Paris was a bustling sea of people, a cacophony of different languages. Sun Yan pulled her suitcase along, taking a deep breath of the French air, a blend of coffee, fresh bread, and a faint, elusive hint of familiarity, just as she took out her phone to let Su Ming know she'd arrived safely. A warm, steady male voice, tinged with amusement, came from behind her. Finally found you, Sun Yan. Sun Yan whirled around. There stood Qing Jingyan, one hand casually tucked into his trench coat pocket, the other holding a vibrant bouquet of sunflowers, a gentle smile on his face as he looked at her. Sunlight streamed through the airport's glass curtain wall, casting a soft, golden halo around him. Ching, Senior Jingyan, Sun Yan froze. Instinctively rubbing her eyes, convinced it was a hallucination from the long flight, only as the bright sunflowers and the man's warm smile came into sharper focus did she hesitantly ask, "What are you doing here?" Qing Jingyan stepped closer, naturally taking the handle of her suitcase. "The company had an urgent project come up at the branch office here, so I'm leading the team over. I did the math, and our arrival times lined up pretty closely. Thought I'd try my luck to see if I might run into you." As he spoke, a relaxed smile touched the corners of his eyes. Unlike Gu Yushin's scrutinizing, controlling gaze, his was pure and gentle, like a spring breeze. A corner of Sun Yan's heart felt illuminated by that bouquet of sunflowers, the weariness of her journey melting away. The corners of her lips curved upward. "Well, Senior, your luck is certainly something." "Yes, I'm really lucky," Qing Jingyan said, expertly maneuvering the luggage cart as he led her out. "Is your apartment all sorted?" "Paris isn't like back home, it's a new place, and you don't know your way around. If you need anything at all, please don't hesitate to ask." In the days that followed, Qing Jingyan became Sun Yan's warmest anchor in a foreign land. Despite being busy with his project, he always made time. When Sun Yan first arrived in Paris, the complex metro system left her utterly confused. He drew her a simple, charming map, marking the routes to her university, apartment, and some famous landmarks, even carefully color-coding the transfer stations. Knowing she had a sweet tooth, he would go out of his way to visit a highly reputed, old-school patisserie and bring back a few exquisite little cakes, claiming it was the project team's afternoon tea perk. "And I just happened to grab an extra for you." One of her elective courses, comparative literature, was particularly challenging, requiring her to plow through dense, obscure French texts. On the eve of a group discussion, Sun Yan was staring at a screen full of dense text, fighting off sleep but too anxious to rest. Qing Jingyan happened to message, asking how her studies were going. Upon hearing her struggle, he immediately video-called her. He stayed up with her, helping her organize her thoughts, using his own deep literary knowledge to analyze the text structure and explain the difficult points, all until the early hours. On the other end of the call, his voice was steady and his reasoning clear. Watching his focused, earnest profile, something inside Sun Yan quietly melted. He never deliberately brought up Gu Yushin, nor did he ever press her about her past. Instead, with his perfectly measured care and quiet, pervasive companionship, he gently smoothed out the still tender creases in her heart. Sun Yan sometimes wondered if she had met Qing Jingyan earlier, or if she hadn't plunged headlong into that whirlpool with Gu Yushin, would everything have been different? But life doesn't deal in what-ifs. During a video call one time, Suming was munching on an apple and mumbled some gossip from back home. "Hey, Nian Nian, guess who I saw at the club recently? That guy Gu Yushin. TSK, what a mess he was, unshaven, with dark circles under his eyes. I heard he messed up several projects at the Gu group and got a real earful from his old man. And not long ago, I heard he got a new girlfriend. The girls in the secretariat are all talking about it, saying there's something to it. They say the girl's eyes and brows, well, they bear a passing resemblance to you." Su Ming paused, carefully watching Su Nian's expression. "Nian Nian, are you okay?" Su Nian was revising her thesis on her computer screen. Hearing this, she just looked up and gave a faint smile, clear and bright, without a trace of shadow. "Brother, other people's business has nothing to do with me anymore," she said lightly, with a hint of playful sarcasm. She had truly let go. Hearing her say that, Su Ming's worries melted away. He chuckled, "You're absolutely right. My sister is so outstanding. What kind of eligible young man couldn't you find? Paris is full of handsome guys. You just have to keep your eyes open and choose carefully, but don't get too picky either. I think that Qing Jingyan is pretty good, solid character, capable, and he clearly cares about you. He's definitely worth a closer look." Sun Yan felt a bit embarrassed by her brother's words and chided him. "Brother, you're playing matchmaker again." Though she said that, a hint of sweetness welled up in her heart. 6 months had flown by in the blink of an eye. It was autumn in Paris, with golden leaves carpeting the ground, and the banks of the Seine were particularly breathtaking. That day, Qing Jingyan had asked Sun Yan for a walk along the river. The fading sunset light turned the water's surface into a shimmer of broken gold, while the evening breeze, carrying a hint of the river's coolness, brushed gently past them. Walking side by side, Qing Jingyan suddenly stopped and turned to Sun Yan, his expression serious. From the pocket of his trench coat, he produced a small velvet box. Opening it, he revealed a platinum necklace of simple yet distinctive design. Its pendant was a small ginkgo leaf, its veins exquisitely detailed, a testament to fine craftsmanship. Nian Nian, Qing Jingyan's voice was lower than usual, yet crystal clear. These past 6 months together in Paris have made me all the more certain of my feelings. I don't want to be just your friend, or just your senior. Nian Nian, give me a chance, let me be the sunshine in your future. Okay, I may not have a silver tongue full of sweet nothings, but I'll prove through my actions that I can give you a steady, enduring happiness. Sun Yan looked into his sincere eyes. There was not a trace of hesitation or testing in them, only earnestness and hopeful anticipation. In that gaze, she felt a long-lost sense of respect and being truly cherished. Tears blurred her vision without her realizing it. Yet Sun Yan nodded with a smile. Her voice, though tinged with a slight choke, was crystal clear. Yes, she let Qing Jingyan fasten the delicate ginkgo leaf pendant around her neck. Its cool touch somehow soothed and warmed her heart. A year later, Sun Yan completed her advanced studies in Paris with top marks. She returned home brimming with newfound knowledge and a more confident, poised demeanor. Her position within the group was promoted, and she was put in charge of a promising new project, taking her career to the next level. On her first weekend back, Qing Jingyan arranged a romantic proposal at her favorite restaurant. When he knelt on one knee, holding up the diamond ring, his eyes shining as he asked, "Sun Yan, will you marry me?" She extended her hand without a moment's hesitation. The wedding was grand and heartwarming. Sun Yan, dressed in a pristine white wedding gown, walked arm in arm with her father, step by step towards the handsome, upright man at the end of the red carpet whose eyes held only her. Sunlight streamed through the church's stained glass windows, and the smile on her face was even brighter than the sun. Standing not far away, Su Ming watched his sister's blissful expression, his eyes welling up with heartfelt joy. Sun Yan knew that this time, she had firmly grasped the happiness that was rightfully hers. As for Gu Yushin, he might forever be trapped in that wretched afternoon, unable to produce any proof, screaming hysterically. Were those 7 years all a lie, perhaps in countless midnight reveries? He would remember a girl who had once loved him with her whole heart, only to be cast aside like trash. But all of that had nothing to do with Sun Yan anymore. Her redemption was given by Qing Jingyan, but more importantly, it was earned by her own efforts, step by step, pulling herself from the mire, bravely fighting for it. Her world was now bathed in endless sunshine, blooming with a profusion of flowers. The end. Story 2. Wade Shi, let's get a divorce. With a heart full of despair, I sent the final message and then blocked him. I buried our child on the back hill. The tiny urn carried my endless regrets and guilt, yet it couldn't hold my belated love. I knelt before the blank tombstone, bowing my head in grief. There wasn't even time to give it a name. I'm sorry, my child, Mommy couldn't protect you. May you find no pain or sorrow in heaven. With blood-stained hands, she scooped up a handful of earth, burying her child and with it, all the love she once held for Wade Shi. After keeping vigil by the grave for 3 days and nights, I finally returned home. As I was packing my things, Wade Shi arrived with Esme Jing, his arm around her while dragging a lady's suitcase. Esme Jing's, is he planning to bring her to live here? If this had happened in the past, I would have been heartbroken and sad, but now my heart is as cold as a 1,000-year-old iceberg. The affairs of this scumbag and that shameless woman are no longer any of my concern. When Wade Shi saw me, his usually gentle and refined face darkened instantly, and he glared at me with a gloomy expression. Narayan, is it really necessary for you to make such a scene every day? Just because I wasn't there during your delivery, you blocked me and even threatened divorce, and now you're trying to force my hand by threatening to leave. All you're doing is making me despise you even more. A sharp pain pierced my heart, and my hands, which had been packing, froze. Making a scene? Yes, in his eyes, no matter what I do. Isn't it all just unreasonable drama? Fine, whatever. I ignored him and continued packing my things. Seeing my silent refusal to argue, his brow subconsciously furrowed, his tone turning even colder. Narayan, are you deaf? Where's the child? So you actually remember the child? I threw the remote control at his feet, my gaze icy. Esme Jing limped as she shielded him behind her, defending him with a pained heart. Nara, don't blame Wade, it was my fault, I accidentally twisted my ankle. Wade only rushed over because he was worried about me. Next time, I won't call for him. She was gentle and kind, yet the look she gave me was undeniably challenging. I glanced at the 7-inch stiletto heels on her feet, so that was why she twisted her ankle. Suddenly, I found it all laughable. No matter how she acted, those who are favored always act without fear. Actually, this isn't the first time Wade Shi has left me behind like this to go see his white moonlight. Back when Esme Jing was still abroad, Wade Shi had already left me several times. flying overnight to see her. The reasons were even more absurd. She had argued with her husband and couldn't cope without him by her side. I just pretended not to know, all to preserve this hard-won marriage between us, but I never expected that my tolerance would only make him escalate his behavior. After Esmejing divorced and returned to China, he ignored me and started coming and going with her just like a loving couple, and this time, he heartlessly abandoned me while I was hemorrhaging just to accompany Esmejing for her prenatal checkup. Our child died in the womb, never even getting the chance to open its eyes and see this world, forever gone. Yet he stayed by another woman's side without leaving for a moment, guarding someone else's child. I was filled with grief and anger, but even more so with despair. She, his only shred of conscience, had also been devoured by dogs. As my thoughts returned to the present, I walked coldly toward the stairs. That's your business, it has nothing to do with me. She was convinced I was still angry about him abandoning me and snapped, Narayan, are you really that selfish? Your child is alive, but isn't Esme's child one too? If anything happens to the baby in her belly, could you live with yourself? I widened my eyes in shock, unable to believe such words could come from his mouth. That was his child, carrying the bloodline of his She family. If I'm supposed to feel guilty about someone else's child, then who will pity my poor innocent child who died? I actually laughed in anger. How biased must one's heart be to be so protective of their own, while others would favor their own? Only she would do the opposite. My chest felt tight as I pressed on aggressively. When you left me alone, did you ever consider what if something happened to us, mother and child? She's face darkened like the bottom of a pot as he gripped my wrist, grinding his teeth. Narayan, have you had enough of your tantrum? It's just giving birth. With so many doctors and nurses around, what could possibly go wrong? Besides, I don't understand childbirth. What good would it do to stay with you? Even Esme, who's also pregnant, isn't as fussy as you. I'm being fussy, compared to Esmejing. What does this even count as? Today his head aches, tomorrow his hand hurts. Who is the one calling him over with each phone call? Even if she sheds one more strand of hair today, she'll feign illness just to have him by her side. After getting pregnant, I had severe morning sickness and often felt dizzy and fell. The doctor said my constitution was weak and I needed to be careful with the pregnancy. Meanwhile, Esmejing eats and drinks well, strong enough to wrestle a tiger. It was always me who truly needed companionship, yet he turned a blind eye and remained oblivious. He indulged all her affectations, yet saw everything I did as unreasonable. Indeed, the difference between love and its absence is this vast. Let me ask you again, where is the child? All my fury condensed into an icy glint in my eyes, each word piercing his heart. Don't mention the child. You're not worthy, Narayan. That's my child. What right do you have to say I'm not worthy? She's face turned livid, his obscure gaze flickering as his nails dug sharply into my wrist. Don't think just because you had a child, the whole world owes you something. Playing with fire has its limits. Stay home and take care of the kid properly. Stop making unreasonable scenes and stirring up trouble every day. Tears welled up densely in my eyes, and if I hadn't been biting my lower lip so hard, I might have sobbed aloud. After giving so much love, in the end, I only ended up getting burned by playing with fire. How could I have been so blind back then to fall for such a man? Perhaps noticing the tears in my eyes, his expression froze for a moment, his face softening slightly as he spoke condescendingly. As for the child, I'll do my best to help out, if there's any expense needed. Just say the word. The flesh and blood of my She family must never be shabby. Is this what he considers a concession? In the past, this would have made me happy for days. He's always so busy with work. Getting him to accompany me to a prenatal checkup was a luxury. This time, he actually offered to lend a hand and help take care of the child together. But the child is gone. What use is his concession now? Belated charity is cheaper than grass. That hypocritical bastard, whoever wants him can have him. I forcefully shook off his hand. I don't care for it. No, all I want is to divorce him and leave this filthy place that makes me sick to my stomach. Nara, how can you treat Wade like this? He specifically brought me here to live with you so we could take care of the child together. Esmejing stepped forward to accuse me. In reality, she was flaunting that she was the one Wade she truly cared about, while I was just a burden, urging me to know my place and leave sooner. My heart is like dead ashes, with no ripple of emotion on my face. I truly hope this scumbag and that shameless woman stay locked together forever, so they can't harm anyone else. Instead, it was Wade who pursed his thin lips, his sharp eyes fixed on me, but apart from cold indifference, not a trace of love for him remained. The once devoted simp suddenly stopped groveling, his slightly furrowed brows deepened, his expression shifting several times, and for the first time ever, he actually deigned to explain himself to me. You've always wanted me to help take care of the kids, right? I'll bring Esme over to stay, so there'll be one more person to help out. Huh, that's probably the funniest excuse I've ever heard. I actually thought he'd had a change of heart and finally realized his wife and children were more important. It was just an excuse to bring his beloved white moonlight to live with him. Great. What a thorough scumbag. Humph, with a cold laugh, I really didn't want to deal with them anymore and headed upstairs. Narayan, what kind of attitude is this? Stop right there. Are you deaf? His suppressed, violent roar came from behind. This was the first time in 3 years of marriage that I had defied him. A dog that's been obedient all its life suddenly bares its teeth at him one day, and he panics, resorting to harsher measures to suppress it. But he doesn't realize, a dog obeys out of loyalty, while a person obeys out of love. Love is gone. Why should I obey? I went back to my room to pack my things, and the sound of objects clattering came from outside. It must have been Wade Shi helping Esme Jing arrange the guest room. Logically, Esme Jing should have stayed in the guest room on the first floor, but given her special status, she flaunts her privilege with love anyway. We're getting divorced, so it's none of my concern. Footsteps approached from behind, accompanied by the faint scent of cologne. It was Wade Shi. Without looking up, my eyes caught sight of a toy packaging box. To my surprise, it was the limited edition Transformers model I had been longing for, worth hundreds of thousands. I looked up at him in shock. His eyes were dark, and though his expression wasn't exactly gentle, it at least wasn't cold. A gift for the child. He shoved the toy into my arms and snorted. Where's the kid? I didn't see him in the nursery just now. If the child were still here, I would surely be overjoyed for a long time, believing he truly loved the child. But now, holding it in my hands, it feels unbearably heavy, so much so that it's suffocating me. What's the use of expensive toys when the child is gone? Can it bring the child back to life? Save your fake sympathy. I won't tell you. I clenched the toy box tightly, my fingertips turning white from the pressure. Wade Shi's jaw tightened, his features darkening with anger. After searching the room fruitlessly, his imposing aura grew even more intense. Don't think I can't do anything about you. Don't come crying to me later. He threw down these words and, right in front of me, made a call to his assistant. Immediately, right now. Find out where the child is. I want results in 10 minutes. Suddenly, the sound of things being smashed came from outside the room. It didn't seem to be coming from the guest room but rather from the nursery. The second floor originally had a master bedroom, a study, and 2 guest rooms. After I became pregnant, Wade Shi and I discussed it and decided to convert one of the guest rooms into a nursery. Every item inside was meticulously prepared by me, each stitch and thread representing my love for the child. Originally, I had intended to create a warm and happy environment for the child after birth, but I never expected to receive such tragic news. Instead, my face turned pale, and I rushed over in such a hurry that I even forgot to put down the toy box I was holding. The once tidy and clean room was now in complete disarray. Toys, early education supplies, and baby clothes were scattered all over the floor, many of them broken. Even the lucky bellyband I had knitted for my child with my own hands was cut in half and thrown into the trash, and Esme Jing was stepping on the Ultraman toy I had prepared for my child, stomping on it over and over until it was crushed to pieces. Esme Jing, what are you doing? My pupils contracted sharply as I rushed forward in rage, pushed her away, and then my legs gave way, sending me kneeling to the ground. With trembling hands, I picked up the shattered remains of the Ultraman figure, unable to hold back the tears that streamed down my face. Esme Jing stood over me, holding a teddy bear plushie, and said condescendingly, the doctor said I'm having a girl. Girls don't like Ultraman. It's better to replace it with a plushie. Pointing at the door, I roared furiously, this is my child's room. Get out. It used to be, but not anymore. I like this room, so Wade let me stay here. She sneered, pointing around, touching each toy one by one. These, and these, they're all eyesores. They have to go. My mind buzzed. I didn't catch anything else, only the phrase, Wade let me stay here, echoing over and over like sharp thorns piercing the tip of my heart. Even the child's room. Her gaze fell on the toy box in my hand, and she froze for a moment before letting out a disdainful laugh. Isn't that the Transformers model Wade gave me? My daughter never liked that kind of thing. I didn't expect him to pass it on to you. Well, it is worth hundreds of thousands. Would be a waste to just throw it away. It felt as if my face had been ripped off and stomped underfoot. Humiliation, shame, and fury. So it was all a lie. His love for the child was nothing but a discarded handout from someone else. Enough. I angrily slammed the toy box onto the ground. Haha. Esme Zhang's triumphant smile twisted before my eyes as she stomped the sharp heel of her high heels repeatedly on a remote-controlled toy car. The gift I had prepared for my child, Narayan. I will definitely take Wade back from you. It was Clearly you who disliked him and left him behind to go abroad. I don't care, now that I'm back, you should return everything to me. She stomped down hard, shattering the toy car into pieces, but the force was too strong, her high-heeled shoe slipped, and she lost her balance. She fell forward, her stomach hitting the corner of the table. After getting pregnant, I installed corner guards on all the tables at home for safety. Esme Jing was unharmed, but when she caught sight of Wade Shi entering out of the corner of her eye, she immediately plopped onto the floor, clutching her stomach and sobbing pitifully. Nara, I really didn't mean to break the toy car. If you're angry, you can hit me or scold me. I'll accept it. I know you don't welcome me, so I'll just leave, but you should never, under any circumstances, have taken your anger out on my child, pushing me down on purpose. If anything happens to my baby, I don't want to live anymore. Woo-woo, I never could have imagined that with a room full of shattered toys right before her eyes. She could still twist the truth so shamelessly, anyone could see how false her words were. But I underestimated Wade Shi's favoritism. His slender fingers gripped my chin, his eyes burning red. Nara Yen, how could you be so cruel? Esme has sacrificed so much, even leaving her own home to move here with me just to accommodate you, and yet you can't even tolerate her child. Apologize to Esme. I felt as if plunged into an icy abyss, shivering to the core. Unable to believe how such shameless words could come from his 37-degree lips. The mistress's interference was actually meant to cater to me. Enough of this, enough is enough. Looking at his familiar yet bone-chillingly cold face, I've never felt so heartbroken as I do now. This is the man I've loved for 10 years. I don't even know how I was so blind to fall for him back then, I sneered, my gaze unyielding. In your dreams, he angrily shouted my name. Nara Yen, is this how you were raised? Do you realize you nearly took a living life? How am I supposed to explain to our child in the future that his mother is a vicious murderer? Suddenly, I couldn't hold back any longer. Grabbing his collar, I broke down in tears. What right do you have to mention the child? Our child is already gone. You killed him with your own hands. Nara, you've gone too far to harm my child. You'd even curse your own. You don't deserve to be a mother. Esme Jing added fuel to the fire. Wade Shi's expression froze for a moment, but quickly turned into a mocking sneer. It seems I've been too indulgent with you lately, lying so effortlessly. Now you're even dragging our child into this. Nara Yen, is there anything you wouldn't do? I opened my mouth, feeling as if something was stuck in my throat, unable to speak, not because I was mute, but because it was meaningless now. No matter what I say, the only one he ever believes is Esme Jing. I turned woodenly and went back to the room, left a signed divorce agreement behind, and walked out with my suitcase at the staircase. Wade Shi caught up with me, grabbed my wrist, and furiously flung the divorce papers in my face. Hiding the child on purpose, and now divorcing without my consent. Who gave you permission? Get out of here. You'll never see the child again in your life. I struggled furiously, his touch making me sick to my stomach, but he held on too tightly, and no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't break free. My head was buzzing, and in desperation, I slapped him across the face. Slap. A clear handprint marked Wade Shi's face as his gaze turned icy. Nara Yen, a lunatic like you isn't fit to be a mother. You'll only corrupt the child sooner or later. Once I find him, don't even dream of seeing him again. He gritted his teeth in a threatening manner, thinking I would cry and beg for mercy, but the cold indifference on my face only drove him into a frenzy. The assistant's call came at that very moment. A triumphant smirk curled his lips as he sneered. Perfect, it seems the assistant has found the child. The speakerphone was turned on, and the assistant's hesitant voice came through. Mr. Shi, the child was stillborn on the day of delivery, and Madam suffered severe hemorrhaging. She nearly lost her life. The phone slipped from his hand, thudding to the ground by his feet. The call was cut off, and the dial tone became the last sound in the world. I watched as the smile on Wade Shi's face slowly froze, shifting from shock to disbelief, then to terror, regret, sorrow, and agony. Each emotion unfolding in sequence, as if compressing a lifetime of joys and sorrows into an instant. Turns out, even without relying on masks, a person's face can change expressions with such astonishing speed. He stood there, his face as pale as a soulless statue. I couldn't even discern his current emotions. Was it regret? But would you truly feel regret? Thud. Wade Shi's legs gave way, and he knelt straight before me, his eyes bloodshot and brimming with tears. Sorry, I'm sorry. His voice trembled. He kept apologizing over and over, slapping his own face repeatedly. The force was so strong that it even covered the red marks I had left on his face earlier. What's the use of saying sorry? Can sorry bring our child back to life? I closed my eyes briefly, and when I opened them again, they were slightly moist. I stared at his face, once so familiar it felt ingrained in my bones, but now it seemed utterly repulsive and alien. I lay in a pool of blood, listening to you hang up the phone. Again and again, my heart growing colder with each call, and our child's life slipping away bit by bit. Do you know, he was suffocated alive inside my belly. The last sentence I almost screamed out in utter breakdown. I'm not human, Wade, she roared, punching himself in the face, then spitting out a mouthful of blood, the remnant staining the corner of his lips. I showed no mercy, watching his agony and remorse with cold indifference. What's this little pain? It's just a drop in the ocean, Wade. I want you to live in regret for the rest of your life. I picked up the divorce agreement from the floor, shoved it into his hand, and said in a voice cold to the bone, 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, in front of the Civil Affairs Bureau, be there or be square. I dragged my suitcase and turned to go downstairs when a hand grasped my wrist. I stopped but didn't turn around. Can you give me a chance to atone? His agonized plea came from behind, choked and indistinct. I refused almost without hesitation. The tightly clenched hand slowly loosened its grip. I took another step forward, leaving behind this hell filled with painful memories. The child was gone, the nursery was gone, and as for him, I no longer cared. I returned to the old rental apartment. More than 3 years had passed, yet everything remained exactly as it was, including the photo of me and Wade on the table. After graduating from college, I rented this apartment for the convenience of work. I only moved out after marrying Wade. My marriage with Wade lasted 3 years, but I loved him for a full decade. In my first year of high school, he chased away the bullies who were extorting protection money from me, and from that moment on, he became the little joy in my heart, mysterious and beautiful. It wasn't until college that I learned he had a white moonlight hidden in his heart, named Esme Jing. But Esme Jing, like the rich second-generation school bully, both he and I were left longing for love we couldn't have. Perhaps it was my humble love that gave him a sense of superiority. He accepted my kindness while also showing affection to Esme Jing. I bought him breakfast, copied his homework, and delivered water to him under the scorching sun, yet he carried his guitar and sang love songs night after night outside her dorm. I fought tooth and nail to save him a seat in the library, only for him to bring Esme Jing to sit there and send me off to buy her favorite iced tea, knowing he liked models. I worked nights delivering takeout, scrimping and saving to buy him one as a birthday gift, yet none of it brought him as much joy as Esme Jing's casual happy birthday. The whole school knew I was his lapdog, living as a joke for his sake. After graduation, Esme Jing married a rich second-generation heir and moved abroad, heartbroken and drunk out of his mind. Wade mistook me for Esme Jing when I rushed over upon hearing the news and pinned me down. Afterward, he felt obligated to take responsibility for me. I knew he didn't have me in his heart. Marrying me was never what he truly wanted. At that time, I was about to be recommended for postgraduate studies abroad, and he wasn't yet the wealthy group president. But in the end, I stayed for him because I loved him enough to give up everything. But I was wrong. 10 years of feelings all wasted on a dog. I picked up the scissors, cut the photo in half, and used a lighter to burn that familiar face to ashes. It's over. This humiliating, one-sided affection. After a sleepless night, I still got up early the next day. First, I cleaned the rented room, then put on a pretty dress from before and applied light makeup. An ending means a new beginning. From today onward, I, Nara Yen, will no longer be someone who only knows how to love others humbly. Bring your ID card and household registration booklet. I took a taxi to the Civil Affairs Bureau. Wade had already arrived. Normally fastidious about cleanliness, he was now sitting on the steps at the entrance, disregarding his usual demeanor. Hugging his knees with his face buried between his legs, his 188 centimeters frame was curled up into a ball. The faint sunlight fell on his hair, making the silver strands shimmer, as if he had turned gray overnight. Esme Jing stood nearby, beaming with joy. That's true. Once Wade and I get divorced, she can immediately register their marriage. All lovers are destined to be together. Shouldn't he be happy about it? Why pretend to be sorrowful here? How hypocritical. Hearing Esme Jing call my name, Wade. She instantly looked up, our eyes met, and I froze in shock. He looked as if he had aged 10 years overnight, with sunken eyes, a dull gaze, and a face covered in stubble. Only when he saw me did a glimmer of light appear in his eyes. Nara, he rushed forward but froze mid-motion, his hand hovering in the air before stiffly withdrawing. Without looking at him, I walked straight into the Civil Affairs Bureau. He stood there for a long moment before slowly following me inside. When submitting the documents, he hesitated the whole time. Anyone could see he didn't want a divorce, but I was firm in my stance. When it came time to sign, he actually knelt before me in front of so many people, his sunken eyes brimming with tears. Nara, I know I've wronged you and our child, but please give me one more chance. Okay, let me make up for the past. Please, I'm begging you." The room fell silent, everyone was looking at him, pointing and whispering. He, who cared so much about status and face, now seemed to have cast it all aside. But so what? I will never forget that time, in the middle of the night at the airport, when I knelt before him, begging him desperately not to go abroad to find Esme Jing. He said coldly that Esme had quarreled with her husband, and he couldn't bear to leave her alone. He anxiously pried my hand away and left without looking back. That same night, I fainted and was found to be pregnant. Through the long, endless night, I lay on the cold bed, suffering in the midst of joy. "Wade, what are you doing? Get up quickly." Esme Jing flusteredly tried to help Wade she up, but he pushed her away. I couldn't understand it. He loved Esme Jing so much, loved her enough to sacrifice me and our child's lives. How could he bear to push her away? But I didn't waver. When I buried our child with my own hands, I buried my shattered heart along with it. I signed the papers and threw them in front of him, expressionlessly reminding him, "President Xi, save some face for yourself." He shakily picked up the pen. After a lot of back and forth, he finally managed to get the divorce certificate smoothly. The red book was replaced with a green one, and to my surprise, I felt a sense of relief, as if a heavy stone that had been pressing on my chest for years had finally been lifted. Esme Jing kept pestering Wade Shi to get married, but he ignored her and didn't budge. His tall body slumped on the bench, head hanging low, tightly clutching the divorce certificate in his hand. His hunched figure resembled a hedgehog curling into itself. He would then turn his sharp spines toward everyone who loved him, as he did before, as he does now, and as he will in the future. But it no longer has anything to do with me. After leaving the Civil Affairs Bureau, I went to the back hill. I placed the prenatal education machine I brought from home in front of the grave, and a melodious tune drifted out. This was the child's favorite prenatal song. Whenever it played, tiny palms would press against my belly, joyfully interacting with me, as if I could hear his bell-like laughter. As I thought about it, the corners of my mouth lifted, but tears blurred my vision. I didn't tell my child about the divorce. He shouldn't have to bear the burden of my joys and sorrows. I only wish for him to live healthily and happily in another carefree world. Staring at the blank tombstone, I finally bit my finger and, dipping it in blood, wrote 5 words: "Son of Narayan." Returning to the rental apartment, I threw away everything related to Wade Shi, bought new items, and started a new life. Back then, in order to marry Wade Shi, I gave up the opportunity to study abroad for graduate school with a recommendation. After marriage, at his request, I became a full-time homemaker, which ultimately led to me losing touch with society. I sent out several job applications, but they all went unanswered like stones sinking into the sea. Even when I got interviews, I was instantly rejected for lack of experience. But I didn't lose heart. In the end, I actually managed to land a job at a large company. Though it was just an ordinary position, I believe all the effort and hard work will eventually pay off. My colleagues at the company are very easy to get along with. On my first day at work, they even threw a welcome party for me. This made me feel both flattered and overwhelmed. So I let go of all past grievances and devoted myself wholeheartedly to my work. To get up to speed faster, I took the initiative to work overtime, leaving early and returning late every day. Though busy, my days felt fulfilling. Compared to the oppressive idleness I experienced at home before, my current life feels more meaningful and valuable. The days passed one by one. I never saw Wade Shi and Esme Jing again, nor did I actively seek any news about them apart from work. I often went to the back hill to visit the child, buying him all kinds of toys. I would lean against the tombstone and listen to the soothing prenatal melodies with him, just as I had when he was still in my womb, as if we had never been apart. Until one day, I saw Wade Shi's tall figure standing before the grave. He knelt before the grave, with a Transformers model worth hundreds of thousands placed in front of him. I heard him speaking, but the wind scattered his words. Only when I moved closer did I catch his choked voice. "It's Dad who failed you. So he came here to confess." I no longer wondered how he had found this place, with his resources. It was only a matter of time. Hearing my footsteps, he turned around, and his haggard face startled me. Though only in his 20s, he looked as weathered as if he had lived half a lifetime, and had lost a great deal of weight. Clearly, he hadn't been doing well during this time. When he saw me, a light flickered in his dull eyes, and his pale lips moved slightly as he softly called my name, "Nara." I ignored him, walked to the grave, and kicked the Transformer model far away, glaring at him coldly. "My child doesn't want charity that others have rejected either." With reddened eyes, he picked up the dirt-covered model and hoarsely explained, "It's not like that. I bought this for my son. It's not something Esme didn't want that I'm giving away. It was Esme Jing who lied. But now, the truth doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't matter anymore. It's all over. Wade Shi, move forward." He suddenly knelt down again, deeply repenting to me, as if only this could ease his conscience. When he held my hand, I saw the scars on his wrist, some deep, some shallow, crisscrossing like a tangled web. I knew they were marks left by the blade, one cut after another. I froze for a moment. A man once so proud and self-assured had now been reduced to utter humility. Through my tear-blurred vision, I seemed to catch a glimpse of my former self. Fate is always so unpredictable. Once, I loved him to the bone, while he treated me like dirt. Now that I've moved on, he's the one who's fallen deep. Had I known it would come to this, why did it have to begin at all? Boom, thunder roared in the distance, and the rain poured down, soaking me to the skin in an instant. Raindrops fell into his eyes, mingling with the tears at their corners before rolling down. I resolutely withdrew my hand and turned my back to him. It's no use, I won't forgive you, and please don't disturb me and the child again in the future. A flash of lightning streaked across the sky, illuminating his pale, anguished face. I walk away, step by step, before the grave. That tall figure knelt for a long, long time, as if melting into the passage of time. Recently, I've been rushing to complete a project, working overtime almost every night until 10. I've been afraid of the dark since childhood, so even when sleeping, I always leave a light on. But according to company policy, lights must be turned off when people leave. Ever since I started working overtime, someone, I don't know who, always leaves one light on in the lobby, making me feel less afraid. After packing up, I turn off the lights and leave work, always catching a glimpse of the office on the 32nd floor still lit up. I've heard it's the CEO's office, but at my level, I have no chance of meeting him. I couldn't help but sigh. Even the CEO works overtime every day, so how could a small employee like me not strive harder? The rental apartment isn't far from the company, and I walk to and from work every day. However, there's a stretch of road along the way that's sparsely populated and lacks streetlights, but I can't remember on which day of my overtime shifts that streetlights suddenly appeared, illuminating my path home. Day by day, things are getting better. Work is going smoothly because I secured a very important project and was promoted to team leader. My colleagues egged me on to treat them to drinks, and we drank late into the night. I got so drunk that I didn't even know what time we called it a night. I turned down my colleague's offer to see me home and staggered back alone. In that alley, a man blocked my path, holding a knife. The shock sobered me up. I threw my bag at him, but he wanted more than just my money. I desperately ran outside, but no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't outrun him. The knife in his hand stabbed toward my back. At the same time, a dark figure lunged at me. The sound of the knife tearing through flesh was heard, yet I felt no pain at all, because the blade didn't pierce my body. It was Wade Shees. At work, I was absent-minded, even misspelling the name of our business partner without realizing it until my manager pointed it out. She patted me on the shoulder and said, "I heard the CEO was injured and hospitalized. The department managers are organizing a visit to see him. Do you want to go along and take a look? Speaking of which, you've been here for so long and still haven't met the CEO, right?" My heart tightened instantly. Just last night, Wade she was injured saving me. And now today, the CEO is also injured. Isn't this too much of a coincidence? Wade she only rose to prominence in the past 2 years, and since he never talks to me about his business affairs, I'm not entirely clear about his specific ventures. To verify the answer, I agreed. After enduring until the end of the workday, the managers bought flowers and fruits, and the manager drove me. Upon entering the ward, I ended up at the back. Through the figures of the managers, I saw Wade she lying on the hospital bed. In that instant, I understood everything. The lights left on in the lobby, the lights in the 32nd floor CEO's office, and the newly installed streetlights, all were lit by him for me. So he still remembers I'm afraid of the dark. But who was that man who smashed the nightlight and called me overly sensitive? That night, amid thunder and lightning, he left me alone to go see Esme Jing. I hid under the pitch-black covers, with only that night light to keep me company. Later, he came back in anger and smashed the night light. For a long time after that, I wasn't afraid of the dark anymore, but I was afraid of him. I didn't follow him inside. Instead, I returned to the rented room, tossing and turning all night. In the end, I made up my mind to resign. I probably also knew that the order for me to go to work at the company was issued by him. Now that I think about it, the colleagues' enthusiasm, the welcome party, and the team leader position that came so easily, it all makes sense now. Turns out, no matter how hard I worked, in others' eyes, I was still just someone who got in through the back door. Everyone knew, except for me. I didn't even eat breakfast before coming to the company. I wrote my resignation letter and handed it to the HR manager. The HR manager didn't dare accept it and hurriedly went to make a phone call. I knew who he was calling, but I didn't care about that. I left the resignation letter and went back to pack my things. As I walked out of the company gate carrying a box, I immediately spotted Wade she standing in the sunlight. Panting heavily, he had bandages wrapped around his chest and was still wearing a hospital gown. He must have rushed here from the hospital, ignoring his injuries. After answering the phone, Nara, don't leave, you earned this job through your own hard work, and everyone has seen your efforts. If you're concerned that the company is mine, I can sell it to someone else. He probably saw me last night, but I never expected he would go this far for me. If only he had treated me a little better back then. Things wouldn't have come to this, but it's all too late now. I turned him down and faced the endless sky. Gold will always shine. I want to find a better world, a world without him. Why? His hoarse, indistinct voice sounded behind me. I didn't ponder it, nor did I turn back, stepping away instead. Nara, the call was shattered into fragments, fading into the distance. I went to the back hill. Due to continuous overtime work recently, I hadn't visited the child in a long time. From a distance, there was a rectangular dark shadow beside the child's grave. As I got closer, I realized it was actually a small hut. It must have been built recently. Everything still looked brand new. I'm really curious about who built this and why it was constructed here. With these questions in mind, I pushed open the door of the house. I was immediately shocked by the familiar environment inside. It was exactly the same as the nursery in Wade Shi's villa. In other words, he had moved the nursery here. The toy that was stepped on and broken by Esme Jing has also been replaced with a new one. I know everything he did was to atone for his sins. Suddenly, I noticed another room next to it, which turned out to be a bedroom. The bathroom was stocked with toiletries, clearly indicating someone lived there, and on the table was actually a wedding photo of me and Wade Shi. Footsteps sounded outside as Wade Shi walked in, carrying a bag of fruit in his left hand and a toy car model in his right. His eyes gleamed as he spoke hoarsely. You're here. He tore open the toy box, placed the model on the toy shelf, then turned to look at me with a faint smile. What I owe my child, I'll spend a lifetime repaying, but what I owe you, I'm sorry. I don't ask for your forgiveness. I only hope you live a better life. I didn't answer him, leaning against the tombstone quietly accompanying the child to listen to the melodious tune. In a daze, I seemed to hear the child's tender voice. He said, Mom, I have Dad with me. You go pursue a better world. I decided to study abroad to pursue the dreams I once had. If I hadn't chosen to marry Wade Shi back then, perhaps I would have already reached the pinnacle of my career by now. But dreams never die, and it's never too late to start. I didn't tell Wade Shi about going abroad. I only mentioned it to a friend on the day of departure. I went to the back hill again, but Wade Shi wasn't there. After saying goodbye to the child, I strode away. In the airport waiting hall, I sat on a chair, and among the bustling crowd, I caught a glimpse of a familiar figure. He wore a slightly loose dark suit, with delicate features, but his eyes were reddened. The suit was still the same suit, only the person wearing it had grown thinner. He stood there quietly, hands in his trouser pockets, like a statue, silently, until glistening tears rolled from his eyes. The announcement for boarding echoed in my ears as I stood up, picked up my luggage, and walked away without looking back. A sudden commotion erupted in the hall, but I didn't turn around, so I didn't see Wade Shi blocking Esme Jing, and the knife in Esme Jing's hand plunged into his chest. 3 years later, I returned as the director of a multinational corporation. For the past 3 years, I blocked all news related to Wade Shi, devoting myself wholeheartedly to my work. 3 years have changed many things. The world is different now, and so are the people. I declined the airport pickup arranged by the company and came alone to my son's grave. Only this time, there was an additional grave beside it. The name Wade Shi is engraved on the tombstone. Did he go to confess to the child? I turned on the prenatal music player, leaned against the child's tombstone, listened to the melodious tunes, and searched on my phone for what had happened over the past 3 years. It turned out that on that day, he shielded me from Esme Jing, who was charging at me with a knife. In the struggle, the knife pierced his heart. He died, and Esme Jing was also arrested. His last words were to be buried next to the child, because he wanted to wait with the child, waiting for that person to return. But he didn't know that person either coming back.